gross. Ew, even more gross. She's like human. Demon. And she's got tits. Ugh. Gross. Hey guys, this is Daxter here, bringing you a brand new Nioh tutorial boss guide video on how to defeat Joro Gumo on the Spider Tower mission. On a bit of a side note, today's video is actually going to contain my first and second attempt, only because on my second attempt I actually killed her so fast it wasn't going to make for a very good video. So this way we'll have a bit more time to talk about the boss's abilities. And without further ado, let's get started. As per usual, we'll start by talking about the boss's abilities and wrap up by talking about our recommended gear choices for this fight. First, we'll talk about the boss's mid to close range attacks. Here you see she has a bit of a web spray attack. This will actually slow the player, so I recommend equipping Sacred Ash to your hotbar. That way, if you're hit by this, you can immediately remove the slow that she's going to put on you. The next attack we'll talk kind of about is her lunge. When you're at mid to close range, she'll do a bit of a lunge towards the player. This can be blocked, or I recommend rolling into the attack to avoid it. The next set of attacks that we'll talk about is her slash base attacks. They're fairly standard, as she has a slash ability that can transform into a tri-hit combo. I really do recommend avoiding this as much as possible. The easiest thing that I can recommend for you is going to be to roll into her attacks and try to roll to her right side, as the first attack will come from her right facing shoulder, followed by a left and then another right. If you can avoid these, you'll usually end up in between her back legs, and this will give you a bit of a window to hit actually her backside, which is her weak spot. Now here you'll see the boss will cast 3 web-based projectiles at the player. These attacks do deal damage, as well as leaving a slowing effect on the ground. After a short amount of time, these will disperse. And as a bit of a side note, if the player is at a further range from the boss, she will occasionally cast a singular web projectile at the player in order to close the distance. A simple evade to the left or to the right will help you avoid this. Next we'll talk about this transformation that you see here. The boss will usually only cast this when the player is able to land a few consecutive hits on her thorax, which is also known as her backside. If you're able to attack this location, which is where you usually want to hit her, all that damage will be considered as critical hits, increasing your overall total damage against the boss. While the boss is in this transformed state, she will be able to retain all of her previously discussed abilities. However, she won't be able to cast the lunge-based attack that we had talked about, and she will gain one additional new ability in which she'll flip over to her backside and spin a 360 degrees motion. If she lands this attack on you, it'll usually hit up to 3 times, which can quickly take out the player. It does have a bit of a tell, as her arms will be covered in the yokai realm. For a very, very brief second, she'll laugh in a bit of a ha 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 form, and then she'll immediately cast this ability. Again, it happens very, very fast. The best way I recommend to deal with this is if you see her arms go black, take a quick dash backwards, and hopefully you'll be able to avoid it. The last attack to note is her grapple. This ability does have a bit of a tell, as she'll usually take a quick lean back, followed by her arms becoming covered with the yokai realm, and then lunge at the player. My only real recommended strategy for this, as it happens so fast, is roll into the attack and hopefully you'll end up on her backside. Well, that about wraps it up for abilities, so now let's have a quick chat about our recommended gear choices for this boss fight. For this boss fight, I do recommend going with a lighter armor tier. However, this has become sort of my preference for all the boss fights, as I like to have the additional Kai to play around with. I also recommend going with fire-based buffing, as the boss seems to be extremely vulnerable to fire. When the boss is at a bit of a further range, I also recommend using bombs to get some more ranged base attacks, but will also deal a good chunk of damage, as if you were to hit one strong heavy attack. And that about wraps it up for this video. As always, if you guys found the video to be useful, I really appreciate it when you guys leave me a like, and also, just even taking the time to view the video. And to stay up to date with my upcoming videos, why not hit the subscribe button? That way you can always stay in the loop with me. As always, folks, thanks for watching, and stay saucy.